Hello, hello. My name's Sammy, aka Four String Boy, and today I wanted to talk to you about my day-to-day life, which is my full-time job, which is being an online music teacher. Now, for the last 10 plus years, this has been my full-time job. Only in the last, say, 5 or 6 years has it been completely online only, and I've taught basically a variety of instruments from drums, guitar, piano, bass. But over the last couple of years, I've whittled it down to ukulele and bass only, four strings only. Before I became a full-time private music teacher, I was a college lecturer in music performance and theory. That means I had to go to university and get my music degree in music performance and also get my PGCE, which is a post-certificate, that's hard to say, my post-certificate graduate in education, and that was specifically in arts pedagogy. I started private teaching alongside my lecturing job, but I decided to leave the career and pursue full-time private tuition instead. Now, turning this into a full-time business, I could have never done on my own. The only thing I really know how to do is play instruments and teach. So actually, the business is run by me and my wife, Effie. She's basically the brains behind everything. Her degree, she has 2 degrees, one in music business and the other one in fashion, media and promotion. So basically anything cool online that you ever see about me, my website, my logos, anything, campaigns, she's the person behind it all. And honestly, without her support and the work that she put into the business to kick it all off, I would have never been able to do this. So it's been teamwork through and through. And yeah, 12 years later, here we are. It's my full-time career. It's our full-time career. So for today, I wanted to talk about all the software that I use daily that makes my life as an online music teacher much easier and also my students' life as online students much easier. Now, I'm hoping there'll be something useful in here for anyone, and that's any kind of musician, whether you are a music teacher, whether you're a student, or whether you just play music as hobbies. Hopefully there's something in here that's actually useful to you that you may not have heard of. Right, I'm going to start off with the music-centric software first, and then I'll talk about the other stuff that basically makes my online teaching much easier for me and students. Right, so the first bit of software I want to talk about is something called Moises, which, yes, is the word noises, but with an M instead. Moises is probably the first app I get any of my students to download, and it's also an app that I use as a musician in my daily practice. Moises is essentially an app that lets you import a song into, so that has to be like an MP3 or a WAV or anything like that. And from there, it analyzes that piece of music and it's then going to let you modify it and give you pieces of information that are really helpful to you. So first thing that's really helpful is that it literally lets you take control of the tempo. So it basically allows you to speed up the tempo, which I've never had to use, but actually turning it down and slowing down the tempo is really useful when you're trying to practice along to a song. Now, YouTube has a similar feature, and that's what I used to get my students to do years ago, but with the constant adverts and everything like that, it's just more annoying now. So Moises is literally, you can just turn it on, set your tempo for an actual BPM, not percentage, so you know what track tempo is, and then can slow it down by 10 or 20 or 30. And then you can practice along to the song and gradually increase the BPM along to it. It doesn't alter the pitch or anything like that. It's incredible. But let's say you do need to change the pitch of the song. It also lets you do that. It allows you to transpose the piece of the music into any key you like. So first off, Moises will analyze and tell you what key the piece of music is in. So for example, if we're in F major, it then allows you to transpose. You can go up to F sharp major, G sharp major, or bring it down, etc. Now, this is incredibly useful for me, actually, whenever I'm writing ukulele arrangements, because sometimes the key doesn't quite line up with how well it will on a ukulele. And I do try and keep the keys as close as possible, but sometimes that just isn't possible, and so I have to alter it by maybe a semitone or a tone. And trying to listen to that piece of music and transpose it in my ears is too hard, so actually just being able to change the key of the song so it matches what I'm writing, it's perfect. Now, this is also very useful for whenever I'm teaching students and say, for example, a song is something they want to learn, but is in a particularly difficult key. So for example, say if we're trying to learn something that's in C sharp major, Moises will literally just let me turn it down a semitone, put it in C major, which is a much nicer key. And then we can play along to the song and that's sorted. Right, third incredible feature, which might be my absolute favorite, something that drives me up the wall, is whenever you're trying to play along to a song and you have to hit the play button and the song starts instantly, so you can't kind of get back to your instrument to start playing along straight away. Now, what Moises does is it lets you basically set your own count-in for the song, okay? And that could be any amount of beats that you want. So obviously you can put 4, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. in time with the song because it analyzes the tempo. Or if you need it to be 8 beats, so you can just hit play and then relax and get ready to play. Or if it annoyingly starts on a pickup bar, so the song starts on like the and of 3 or something like that, you can set it to the right amount of notes so it counts you properly. That for me is like one of the biggest, just stupidest features that I adore, but it's really helpful for students again because I like to get them to play along to songs because it's really good for your rhythm in your ears. And like I said, there's nothing worse than running and trying to hit that play button and then come back to it. I hate it. Everyone hates it. All musicians hate it. This fixes it. Now, talking of playing along with songs, one very cool feature of Moises as well is that it allows you to kind of mix out any of the instruments. And it's not doing any magic here, it's just basically EQing the song so it kind of gets rid of the instrument. So for example, it'll show you the guitar at full volume, the bass at full volume, the vocals, the piano, the drums, and all you can basically do is just start turning them down, turn them completely off. And so for example, with my drumming students, what I used to do is basically turn the drums completely off for the song and get them to play along with the song just with a click underneath it. So essentially they're not following the drummer of the song, they're providing the beat themselves. It has many other features as well. Like I said, it identifies the key, it tells you what track tempo it is, it also tells you what chords are going on, it analyzes the structure of the song. It does so many things. And the stupidest thing about all of this is that the app is free. Obviously, like everything nowadays, they do have a paid subscription premium version that has some hidden features in there. I think it basically, they'll only show you maybe the first couple of chords and things like that. But in all honesty, the free version is absolutely perfect for you. And then if you love it so much, you can end up paying for it. I just have the free version. I use the free version with all my students. They love it. So I really think it's something that you should have a look at and download. Moises is available on your phone and it's also available on the desktop. So I have it on my Mac and I have it on my iPad and my phone. And the thing is, it syncs between all of them. So if you import a song into one, then it appears on all of them. So like I said, for me teaching, whenever I'm at home, then basically I can just teach and it's all on my Mac. Whenever I'm out and about, which I do, then I have my iPad, I have Moises on that and it has all of my songs with me ready. So next up is literally the second app I get all my students to download ever. And it's an app called Soundbrenner. Now, Soundbrenner is basically another free app that is basically a very reliable and customizable metronome. Now, as you all know, even if you don't want to admit it, every good musician needs a good metronome, and Soundbrenner is exactly that. Now, the reason why I love Soundbrenner so much is it's quite an easy, simply laid out app. It's not complicated or anything. I've downloaded some metronomes I feel like you need a certain degree in order to use. But with Soundbrenner, it's pretty laid out very easily, but also it has all the customizable features that are pretty advanced and I use all the time. So it does your basic things. It has a nice big wheel that you set your tempo with. Here you set your time signature, and then the middle button is the most important because that allows us to customize what subdivision our click is highlighting. Now, why is that important? It basically means that if I'm playing something fast and 16th note, maybe syncopated, maybe the rhythm is quite difficult 16ths, playing against a quarter note click is really hard work because the metronome isn't actually showing me all the beats that I need to be listening for. So once I change the subdivision to a 16th note click, then I can literally hear every single beat that's being played, every beat that's available, and that is much easier to play in time to, especially at slower tempos, which we should be doing when we're practicing. Now, the flashing blocks at the top are also customizable, and they basically allow you to change where the accent falls on the beat. So for example, I hate there being an accent on beat 1 because I don't want to sit there and constantly wait for the 1 whenever I'm practicing. I just want a continuous click so I can decide where the 1 is. Now, an additional thing with Soundbrenner, if you like, is that you can actually track your practice. So every time you put on Soundbrenner, it kind of starts a timer and starts tracking your practice, and that keeps it in a log. And that basically tells you how long you practice for, but most importantly, it kind of shows you how often you're practicing. This might help some people get into kind of the habit with it. You know, sometimes it's hard. Practice is best as a daily short kind of thing. So some people need a little help with that, and I think Soundbrenner can help if you are that kind of person. So Soundbrenner is free to download on smartphones, and again, they do have a paid subscription model. I've used this. The subscription model is actually pretty good because it allows you to save set lists of basically your tunes, so you don't have to, so it saves basically the BPM and the time signature, stuff like that. It's very important for me, so I do use that, but the free model is what I use for my students, and I think you'll find with that. So next we have Guitar Pro 8. I feel like I've been using Guitar Pro for a lifetime now. I've been using it since it was Guitar Pro, I don't know, 3? I'm not sure. It's been a very long time. Guitar Pro is essentially a notation program, and it is the program that I've used for all these years to make all of my sheets, PDFs, and everything, all my teaching resources, basically. If you want to make professional-looking sheet music and tabs in order to provide students or for books or anything like that, Guitar Pro allows you to do that. Now, despite the name, Guitar Pro is actually full of other instruments for you to notate for. So obviously I use it for ukulele, but I have used it over the years for guitar tabs, for bass tabs, for drum tabs, for piano scores, strings. It has everything and allows you to notate all these things on a score. For ukulele, it has everything that I need. It allows you to add chord boxes to your sheets very easily, input your own chords, change the chord box names, which is very important. But then it also has all the correct diagrams for all your techniques. So for example, your slides, your hammer-ons, your pull-offs, your harmonics, everything is correctly notated. Now, software like this is not only great for writing stuff, but it's great for helping you practice. And so basically that's because if I hit the space bar, it allows me to play back anything that I've written into Guitar Pro. So that means if I've written a big ukulele cover out in Guitar Pro, what I can then do, and do currently, I give my online students a copy of the Guitar Pro file, they open it in Guitar Pro, and then they can play it back. So they can hear it and see the tab and the score all at the same time. From there, they can also slow it down, they can loop bars, they can do anything they want. It basically is kind of like an interactive piece of sheet music. We always look at sheet music and it's there, and you kind of, the only way to hear it is if you can, you know, flawlessly read music. And Guitar Pro essentially makes this process kind of 3D essentially. Not only can you read it, but it will play it back to you in real time, and you can see and hear everything, so you can get the rhythm, everything correct. So Guitar Pro is for desktop computers. I have it on Mac, but it's also for PC. It's roughly Guitar Pro 8. I think it's around 60 euros at the moment. They do also have a phone and tablet app. Don't be confused by that, because that's about 4 euros. That only allows you to kind of read Guitar Pro files. It's not the best, okay? I wouldn't advise it. The desktop version is the version that you're looking for, and that's the one I advise. Okay, so up next, I've kind of sandwiched two pieces of software together because they're very similar. I'm talking about Logic Pro and Garageband. Now, Logic Pro is my DAW of choice. How does that come into my teaching? Essentially, for a lot of my students, what I like to do is make backing tracks for them to practice to. So whether it means I can just basically put in some chords on a loop that they can practice to, or whether it means I can create a drum track for them to practice to, I can essentially put that in and then convert it to an MP3, send it over to them, and they have something to do. For my students that do own Logic Pro or GarageBand, then essentially what I do try and get them to do is get used to recording themselves at home. Now, it doesn't matter even if they haven't got any of the hardware, you can basically use the inbuilt mic on your computer. And it's just getting used to hitting the big red scary button, listening to things in your headphone, playing it so you can kind of hear back to how you're playing sounds, and also just getting used to that process, okay? It's really good for you as a musician. Now, because Logic Pro is such a massive, massive piece of software, it costs 200 euros, which isn't cheap at all. But if you're not going to use it for music creation or anything like that, then basically I recommend using GarageBand instead. Both of these pieces of software are Apple made, and so that means they'll only run on Macs. But every Mac does come with GarageBand, so you will already have that for free. Okay, so let's talk about the bread and butter of my online teaching now, and that is basically Zoom. Zoom is my main choice of video communication, and that's mainly because of the musician-specific settings that it has. I'm sure you're all familiar with Zoom, but basically it allows me to chat one-on-one with students. I can also host all my group lessons to that, and it also has a nice chat window so I can chat with people whilst I'm doing the lessons. Now, one of the nice perks of online teaching and Zoom is that I can record the classes. That means when I teach my lessons for my online membership, I record all the group classes. It's only my face in it, but it just means that no matter your time zone or if you can't make the lesson, you don't actually miss out. It's been recorded for you. You can watch it whenever you like. Now, I also use this setting with some of my private students. Some of my private students really like to have the lesson to basically reflect back on. If they don't want to make notes or if they forget something, they can hear me replay it. So again, it's really useful for that, just so they've got something to look back on. Now, the musician-specific settings on Zoom is something called Original Sound for Musicians. And essentially all this does is it lets you bypass all of the kind of sound compression and everything it would usually do. This is great, so it just means that Zoom doesn't get confused that the instrument that you're playing is background noise and tries to muffle it out. out. It's also really clever when it comes to mic selection, so it really lets you tune in all the audio things. This, again, makes it so I can teach online flawlessly. Now, it also means I can also hear what my students are doing flawlessly, which is even more important, really. I need to be able to hear them as much as I can see them, so perfect audio when online. I've got some headphones in. Thanks to that software, I can hear them clearly, so then I can see and hear what they're doing right and wrong. Now, Zoom is free, but it does have a cap. I think 45 minutes is the longest lesson it'll allow you to come to before it boots you out. So obviously, because I teach all the time, every single day on Zoom and do group classes on Zoom as well, I do pay for it yearly. I think it's roughly about 150, 200 euros a year for that. But again, it's something that I use daily. Without it, I couldn't do my online teaching. So that's absolutely fine. Now, Loopback was the answer to a problem that I've had for years as an online music teacher. Essentially, how can my students hear me across various instruments as clear as possible without me having some massively complex tech setup? So let me explain what I need in a standard lesson. I need a microphone so that students can hear me talk, and I also need my instrument. So let's say, for example, it's a ukulele, right? With an acoustic instrument such as that, you can get away with just using the mic as well. But if I had something like an electric bass that I was teaching, you can't hear that over the microphone, and so that needs to be plugged in. So I could plug that bass into an amp, no problem, but I'd have to turn it up quite loud so it comes through the mic and the students can hear me. And there's a problem for me as I live in an apartment, and most of the time when I'm teaching, it's evening, so I really don't need that loud kind of bass frequency to be traveling down and annoying my neighbors. I also use my piano a lot in my lessons just for some theory talk, so I need them to be able to hear my piano also. And also we do a lot of ear training and analysis. So basically that's just, I'll put on a song that we're learning and we will discuss it and listen to it together. So that means they need to be able to hear the song clearly as if they're playing it on their end. I need to be able to hear it, and we both have to be in sync. And again, I could play the song through my speakers on my end, but then going through the microphone, it's one, going to be loud in this room again, which is not great. And secondly, the quality is just going to be shit. So what do we do in this situation? That's where we go, well, this is why online teaching is limited, right? You can do all this in person. It's something very easy to do in person, but online, it's just something that we can't get around. Well, here's where Loopback saves the day. Loopback is essentially a digital mixer. So any sound that goes into your computer or any sound that your computer is making, it sends digitally straight to the student. So that essentially means for my setup, all I have to do is have a sound card, plug everything into my sound card, plug my instruments, my microphone into my sound card, my piano is plugged USB into my computer. If I can hear it in my headphones on my end, they can hear it perfectly, exactly the same digitally on their end too. That means that when I'm teaching this room, it is pretty much essentially silent apart from my voice and if there's any acoustic instruments. And also the sound quality that I'm getting through my headphones is the same that they'll be getting their end. That's very important. Hello, so this is me basically using at the moment my webcam microphone just so I can pick up the entire room just to show you what a standard lesson without any Loopback software or anything would sound like. So obviously you can hear my voice. I do use a microphone usually, that will sound better, but still it would have to be positioned away from me to capture the whole room. So it would still be quite noisy. You can hear all the background noise, that would still happen. Here's my ukulele, obviously unplugged. So hopefully you can hear that fine. My piano is turned up and running through my speakers at the moment, so if I was playing piano, that's what it would sound like. And again, if I wanted to show a student an MP3, I'd have to put it on and play it from my speakers. So at the moment this is coming through the speakers in my room, the microphone is picking it up. That's what that sound quality sounds like. Hello again. So this time this is with the Loopback software enabled. So I've got my microphone just pointed at my voice because I don't need it to pick up anything else in the room. And that's because my ukulele is plugged in. So in the room, that sound isn't coming out of anywhere apart from my headphones. But obviously the ukulele will still make a sound acoustically. Again, if I wanted to play some piano, let me just mute my ukulele before I rip it out. Then the piano would sound like this. And in the room, again, that is completely silent. All you can actually hear is me pushing the keys down. Now, this is me putting on an MP3. And again, that's making no sound in the room. I can hear it perfectly in my headphones, but it's being sent digitally straight to my students. So, do we think that's better? Loopback is obviously a desktop app. It's available on Windows and Mac, and I think it retails for about 120 euros at the moment. Audio is insanely important when it comes to music lessons, and especially online music lessons. So something like Loopback absolutely saves my ass with that and makes sure that we both have a great time, we can hear clearly. Now, actually, within the last year, I've stopped using Loopback, and that's only because I purchased a new sound card. I purchased the Motu M6, and I think with most of Motu's sound cards, they actually have that software built in to the sound card. So that means as standard, once you've downloaded all the software for Motu and basically then run it, set it all up on Zoom, everyone is going to hear every little bit of audio that you're going to play on your computer. If I play an MP3 back on my computer, my student can hear it in real time. And that goes with my instruments and my microphone, everything like that. But it's incredible that sound cards now actually have this built into them. And so it just means that now I don't have to have an extra bit of software to run. However, if you do have just a regular sound card, Loopback is the way forward. Okay, so to the least sexy bit of software that I use, and Google Drive. Now, I use Google Drive as basically an organization tool. It's where I keep all of my sheet music. It's where I keep all of my files, my MP3s, everything. It means I can keep it organized digitally. And so no matter whether I'm teaching at home or whether I'm teaching outside, I have basically access to it 24/7 because it's stored in the cloud. Now, for my students, what I do is basically I just create them their own shared folder. So for example, I would just create a folder with their name on it. And then within there, they'll have lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. That means I can put the sheet music in there. It means I can put MP3s, videos, anything I can drop into that folder anytime they need it. It also means that when I ask them for homework, and I want them to basically play something so they can send it to me so I can listen to it and give feedback, they just drop it in the Google Drive. Easy peasy. It means then nothing is ever lost and it's there. Obviously, if you want to print out and do all the stuff, you can do it. But if you ever lose it, you go back to your Google Drive folder and there it is sorted. Me learning guitar as a 14-year-old, I remember one of the things that my guitar teacher luckily didn't kill me for, I would have killed me, is that I constantly lost my sheet every single week. I don't know how, I'm just useless with paper. That's it. I'm still useless with paper to this day. So I like everything digitally organized. I know where it is, I can rely on it, I have access to it on whatever device I like. So yeah, it just keeps me organized. And there we have it. That's all the software that I use to basically make my daily life as being an online music teacher that much easier. If you do have any questions about any of the particular bits of software, or if you're an online music student, or if you're an online music teacher, or someone that's looking to get into the world of online music teaching, then please leave a comment, ask me any questions, I'll do my best to help you out. Next week, I'm off to the Czech ukulele retreat. I'll be teaching alongside Christopher Davis Shannon, so really looking forward to that. And also today I've had 5 ukuleles arrive at my door from Flight Ukulele to review. So once I get back from the retreat, which is next week, I'm going to be a busy boy. You've got some reviews coming up. Have a wonderful day. Love you lots. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.